Hi everyone, thank you for being here today. For those who do not know me, my name is Nomhlanga. I'm an immigrant nurse living and working in Germany. On today's Ausbildung series, I have got two great Ausbildungs for you. If you want to be in the healthcare sector, but you do not want to be a nurse, I'll be sharing with you what steps you should take in order for you to become a physiotherapist or a social worker in Germany. So let's jump onto the video. For the Physiotherapist Ausbildung, the duration is 3 years. It's done in full time, and you have to do your theory and the practical side. For the theory, you will be doing subjects like the anatomy, the physiology, pathology, medical terminology, and therapeutic techniques. And on the practical side, you'll be doing the hands-on experience, what happens in the clinics, in the hospitals, in the rehabilitation centers, where people who need physiotherapy after they've encountered an accident or they are no longer physically active. So this is what your Ausbildung is all about, what you will be doing over there. The Ausbildung itself is free, but not in every state. The states where this Ausbildung is free are Sachsen, Saarland, Berlin, Rheinland-Pfalz, North Rhine-Westphalen, Bayern, Hessen, Niedersachsen, And there are some states where you have to pay a certain amount, which is about 300 to 500 euros a month. And these are Baden-Württemberg, Hamburg, Thüringen, and Sachsen-Anhalt. But, it's subject to change. You might never know. Before you apply, just have a look at their website or just send that certain school an email and ask whether the fees have to be paid or not. Otherwise, if you want to save yourself some money, rather go to the other states where the fees of all the healthcare Ausbildungs have been abolished. The requirements: you need your secondary school education diploma, that's the O-level, the matric, and so on, or it just has to be equivalent to that. You need, of course, your CV, your application letter, and all those supporting documents. If you've done maybe a practical in a hospital, in a care home, in a doctor's practice, just attach that certificate which you got over there when you completed your practical. You need your Führungszeugnis. This is your police clearance. If you've got any criminal record, unfortunately, you can't work in the healthcare sector. They are very, very strict. Actually, in most of the Ausbildungs here, if you have got a police record which is not good, you can't work there. So one is needed also in this in the physiotherapy Ausbildung. And of course, you need the B2 German language level. If you are an international, a foreigner, you need this one. Well, some schools can take you with B1 as long as you are going to do the B2 in the course of your Ausbildung. And some people are just like you can do your Ausbildung with B1 until you finish without them requesting for the B2. And lastly, you need a medical certificate which proves that you are physically active for this job. You can't go and help someone to be physically active when you yourself, you are not physically active. So you do your Ausbildung, you have to have a theory. So during the theory, that's when you go to school. Most of them do it in blocks, while some do maybe 3 days at school, 2 days at work, 2 days at school, 3 days at work. It just changes. It depends with your school. So when you are now done with the practicals and the theory, you are going to sit for an exam and it's called the Staatliche Prüfung, and then you are going to obtain the staatlich anerkannter Physiotherapeut. So now this will be your new profession if you have passed the Ausbildung. And after the Ausbildung, like any other healthcare job in this country, you have got a buffet of places to choose from where you'll work. You can either work in a hospital, you can work in care homes, in rehabilitation centers, in sports clinics, in private practices, or you can be a self-employed physiotherapist. You can be, like, when you're self-employed, I see it sometimes in some care homes where I work. You go there as a private physiotherapist. You've got maybe 5 residents in this care home. You've got 5 patients in that clinic, in that rehab. So you just go, like, you are mobile. That's also another great opportunity for you. During the Ausbildung, from the first year to the 3rd year, expect to earn between 1,100 euros to 1,300 euros. And after the Ausbildung, just a starting salary, expect to earn 2,500 to 3,500 euros. This depends on where you are working, the type of establishment, hospital, clinic, or whatever, and also where you live. Which state do you live in? If you come in the southern part of the country, this is where you can earn more money. In the description box, I have listed a few places where you can apply for your Ausbildung. They take anyone and everyone, regardless of your religion, your race. Just apply over there and be that amazing physiotherapist. Our second Ausbildung for the day is being a social worker in Germany. Some people have sent me messages on Instagram asking me if is it possible for anyone from anywhere to be a social worker in Germany. Yes, of course, you can be a social worker here. So there are 3 parts of becoming a social worker in Germany. The first one is doing a university degree. You have to do a bachelor's degree in social work, which is going to take you 3 to 4 years in 6 to 8 semesters. For this, the requirement is for you to have an Abitur or a Fachabitur. This is equivalent to your high school, and you have to get very good marks in order to qualify for that. And by the way, if you want to attend a German university and you do not want to come as an international student who pays a lot of money, and you have to study in German. So if you study in the German language, you pay no school fees, no tuition fees. Instead, you pay a levy. I think it's about 250 euros a year, a semester. Somewhere it's almost like it's very affordable. And if so, look into that. And then the second one is for you to do a dual study program. It combines the study and the practical work, a university entrance qualification, and a contract with a social institution. And another route you can do in order to study at the university, this one is for people with related degrees. For example, education, sociology, or psychology. There are other pathways to qualify through the postgraduate programs, those things. So if you have got these 3, you can apply to do your social work at the university. If you do not qualify for this, the second option for you is to do an Ausbildung as an Erzieherin. This is a teacher. So you do this Ausbildung for 2 to 3 years, and then you are going to be a social care worker for children and the youth. In one of my previous videos, you are going to see it here on the screen. Go and watch it. I had a talk with Annabelle. She shared her journey. So you can go and watch that video for tips on how you can do this Ausbildung over there. The third way how you can be a social worker without going to the university is through doing the Heilerziehungsfläche Ausbildung. This is a specialized training for disability support. If you do this Ausbildung, you are going to specialize in people with disabilities, and then you can be a social worker for the people with disabilities. So these are the three parts: the university route, the Erziehering route, and the Heilerziehungsfläche route. And then when you have done these things, you can now be a social worker. So the requirements for you to be a social worker are: number one, your educational background, like I mentioned before. Did you do a certain Ausbildung plus the work experience in that Ausbildung? That's the first requirement. Or you have got the general university qualifications, Abitur, Fachabitur, which you did a certain degree at any university of applied sciences. These are the requirements. You have to have either of that. Of course, in this one, a lot of German is spoken here. You need at least B2 to C1 German language level if you are a foreigner, if you're an international student, if you do not have a German citizenship. You need a social commitment, like a Vorpraktikum or Freiwilliges Soziales Jahr or Bundesfreiwilligendienst, which you did where you volunteered in a certain establishment for maybe at a school, at a disability home, or maybe in a rehabilitation center. So a tip from me: if you are applying, you are in South Africa, you are in Zimbabwe, you are in Ghana, my tip is apply for the Bundesfreiwilligendienst. I shared a video about it. You can see it here on the screen. If you apply through this program, you come here and it's easy for you, especially if you choose, let's say, a school or a rehabilitation center or whichever part of the social work you should want to do later. So if you come through this program, you are already training yourself to be a social worker. At the same time, you are gaining the experience they want, and you are also providing this social commitment, this Freiwilligendienst, this volunteer work. So that's a tip from me. Look into that. It could be the easier path for you to come here. And also, if you choose, let's say, at a rehabilitation center or wherever, they are going to offer you the accommodation and everything. And most of these establishments have got their own schools for social work. They offer this Ausbildung direct, so you won't have to look for other places. You can just stay there and continue whilst in the same company. During the Ausbildung, you can expect to earn between 1,000 euros to 1,400 euros. This depends on your employer and your location, of course, just like any other Ausbildung in this country. When you are done with your Ausbildung, you can expect a starting salary of 3,300 euros to 3,700 euros gross every month. And when you are now an experienced social worker, you can expect to earn between 4,000 and 4,800 euros. So during this time, you can also advance, do an extra Weiterbildung, advance in your career. That way, you are going to gain more knowledge and make more money at the same time. The fields of work: you can work in healthcare and rehabilitation centers, you can work in schools, You can work in family or community counseling. You know, in our areas, there is always a social worker who comes maybe at home and talk to you whenever you need that help and so on. You can be a child and youth service social worker. In Germany, it's called the Jugendamt. You know, we always hear, hey, the social workers are going to take your kids. So yeah, you know, that's where these social workers come into. Not just take your kids, also these social workers also provide information. If you're a foreigner, you do not know how it functions in this country with kids. I remember I called social workers myself because I didn't understand, when does the child go to the kindergarten? When do they start school? What should they, how are the steps? It was just all confusing. I just called. They gave me all the information that I needed. You can also work in the refugee and migration support. We've got a lot of refugee camps in this country, and the refugees need social workers, so you can specialize in that field. Especially if you can speak another language, like maybe, let's say, English, then you are going to be of much service because they are also English-speaking refugees. Below, in the description box, you are going to get a list of where you can apply to be a social worker in this country. Please keep on checking even after a few days, after a week or so. If I get any other address, I'll be just popping it there. Just try your luck. You might never know. You know, by the end of this year, you could be in this country. I wish you all a lovely day. And do not forget to like and leave a comment. I'll see you on my next video. Take care. Bye.